This episode is brought to you by Jersey Mike's. Hello again, everybody. It's that time. It's our weekly date. It's Points in the Paint, our podcast dedicated solely to WCC women's basketball. I'm Ann Schatz, joined by the incomparable Mary Murphy. Mare, say hello.
Greetings, everyone.
Perfect. All right, Mare, let's dive in. We've got a precious few weeks left to go in the regular season. Everybody looking towards March. Your takes from what has recently happened and what is about to happen.
Yeah, every weekend is just so interesting to me. As things just kind of keep working, it feels like Gonzaga and Portland are in really good shape.
Yep.
Especially Gonzaga for that top spot with the tiebreakers that they have against Portland and Washington State. But I look at 5 teams right now: Washington State, Oregon State, St. Mary's, Pacific, and USF. All 5 of those teams are within 2 games of each other. And what does that mean? That's between 3rd place and 7th place. And the difference in that, we've talked about it. If you finish 3 or 4, you play 3 games in 3 days to go to the NCAA tournament. If you finish in 7th, 8th, or 9th, you got to play 5 games. Down the stretch, just 3 more weekends of games. Every game and the tiebreakers of absolutely critical importance to every team in this conference.
You do the math, and to your point, Mare, the smallest of margins, one way or another, means so very much. Every possession, every quarter, it seems so critical.
Yeah, it really does. And then once you kind of move past that, I mean, I know we talk a lot about Yvonne Ejim and what she's been doing. But, this weekend she becomes the new career scoring leader at Gonzaga. And Ann, you've covered a lot of Zag games over the years and just how great this program has been, the number of outstanding players going to the WNBA, setting records. And Yvonne right now, heads and tails, she's at the top of the heap.
I'm with you. We'll discuss this ad infinitum and everybody's takes count, but I'm with you 100%, Mary. What she has done, the way in which she has done it, from a very quiet freshman year to where she is now, Vonnie stands atop the heap.
And the other thing that we talk a lot about the teams at the top, and we don't often talk about the teams that are trying to make a statement this year. And I really have to send props to the University of San Diego. They are still hunting their first WCC win this year. They led both Portland and Oregon State at half this past weekend. The heartbreaking 2-point loss to Portland, a game where they had a game-tying shot with 2 seconds that did not fall, and the 8-point loss to Oregon State. We know Cindy Fisher. We know what a good coach she is, what a great staff she has, and just this team hasn't quit. During the toughest of days, you look at that record, and they just come out and they keep playing hard, and I just tip my cap, and I wouldn't want to play San Diego in the next 3 weeks because I think they're ready to win a game.
You're on to something. That's a team you don't want to beat in the next 3 weeks, and especially in Vegas. What Cindy Fisher has done with this club to keep them believing they are a very dangerous bunch right now. You can look at the record all you want, but if it's a one and done, I'm not sure I want to play them.
Yeah, and I just think that I have to had it been a coach in that situation. I know how tough it is in February to keep your team motivated. You got midterms, you got injuries, you got all kinds of things going on, and they just keep working and putting it together.
All right, as a former head coach at the highest of levels, collegiately and WNBA wise, I know how much you love the nuances of the game. It's not just scoring, it's not just all the glossy numbers, but you love rebounding. You love that effort category of rebounding. What Gonzaga did on the offensive glass this last weekend blew our minds.
Yeah, and I think stunning is not an overused word for what they did. You can win a basketball game in a lot of ways. You can shoot great and get a lot of shots up. You can get to the free throw line. You can limit turnovers. You can play a great defensive game. But this team and their win over St. Mary's, 16 offensive boards. Esther Little, just herself, had 10 O boards, 18 second chance points. In the overtime win against Washington State, mind-boggling, 21 O boards, 21 second chance points. You add up those numbers in those 2 wins, 26%. Now, I know I'm a big number nerd, but 26% of their points come from second chance opportunities, not free throws, not threes, not just your regular offensive sets, not secondhand points. That just means when other things aren't working, crash, work, score it, stay in the ball game. It was an astounding performance.
And as a coach, that effort, that 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 whole sense of I want it more than the other one, that's just got to mean everything to a coach and his or her staff.
Yeah, it's just it's a team that, and I think we've seen this since the 1 and 2 start, determined to win,
Yeah.
find a way. We're not always, and coaches will say this all the time. We're not always going to shoot really, really well, but find a way, do the little things, and just keep working.
Esther Little with 10 of those things
I
against
know.
St. Mary's. God bless you, Esther. All right, Oregon State, you mentioned that team being one of those teams really in the playoff picture in terms of a high seed. And, you and I have been shaking our heads in the best way about Kelsey Rees and this spectacular career year she's enjoying, mixing academics with athletics. She's spent 3 years at Utah. Now she's at Oregon State. Her game is expanding. Numbers are off the charts. Uh, she's a special player. She's a special player. And when a lot of players transferred out of Oregon State, there was a core group of veterans who stayed, and she was one of them and has made all the difference in the world. And that Aussie with that great megawatt smile as big as Dallas is going to join us when we return. This episode is brought to you by Jersey Mike's. Welcome back to Points in the Paint. Our very favorite part of this weekly podcast is when we get to bring on a special player or a coach. And today's guest is an absolute treasure, Oregon State senior forward, Kelsey Rees. Kelsey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah. All right. Let's get right to the heart of the matter, young lady.
Yep.
This has been kind of a different year for Oregon State women's basketball, for you and the club. You've witnessed and adapted to and embraced many challenges. Yes, indeed. New conference, new teammates, an expanded role. How did you get your head and heart kind of wrapped around these challenges, rising above these challenges, and you look happy as a clam? How'd you do it?
Yeah, it was tough for sure. It was weird last season because everyone was obviously focused on the games at hand and trying to do as well as we could, but then there was like the overlying uncertainty about what was going to happen with the conferences and what was going to happen with the team and everything. And just being able to finish that season strong as we did, and then take a moment and sit and talk to the coaches and just really hear their vision for the program and how they still believed in, what they were working towards and what we could achieve no matter what happened. And that really helped me feel settled in it. I think just having that support and knowing that the coaches weren't changing and that Scott was still going to be here, and that the resources were still going to be here no matter where we ended up and who we ended up playing was huge. And then, as you mentioned, it really changed this year, like what my role was and who was around me. And that was something, it was really uncertain, even in the off season, even as we'd signed all these new players, who they were going to be and what the role was going to be and how we were going to play. And it was just about, in the off season, really working on all the skill sets so I could help the team in whatever it ended up being, whatever my role ended up being. And then just coming into the season, really trying to settle into that and trust in the coaches and trust in all the new players as well.
And Kelsey, you've done such a great job of settling into that. I mean, it's a career high in minutes. You never have to say, Coach, put me in. It's more like, Coach, I can use a rest. But career high in minutes, points, rebounds. You're really the emotional leader of your team as well. How's that change in role been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, I gotta say. It's really enjoyable, and especially in this last 2 weeks, we finally got 4 in a row wins, so that's made it even better. But it was tough at the start. I think we went to the Bahamas for the Thanksgiving tournament, and prior to that, I'd been trying really, really hard to do everything I could on the court to really help the team, and I'd almost been getting in my own way by trying to hard. And Scott pulled me aside and was like, okay, you're coming off the bench this game and you got to let the game come to you. And I think that was the big learning curve, just making sure that I wasn't trying to do too much and impact anyone or myself negatively, and really just letting the game flow and really finding my spots and finding my teammates and working out how I could do my role as best as possible while not trying to do it too well, then bad it.
But Kelsey, for you, we've talked about basketball, but you're so much more than a basketball player. I mean, you graduated from Utah in 3 years with 2 undergraduate degrees, and now you're working on a graduate degree, a master's in bioengineering with a minor in artificial intelligence, and just in your free time, a certificate in business. I've known a lot of student athletes in my time. I don't know anyone that's done that. How do you do it?
Yeah, well, I've been really lucky. We have a lot of support over here on the academic side to make sure the schedule fits us as well as possible. And I've always found, especially through college, that I do best when I have a lot of things going on because that means I have to, do them and like I can schedule that time for when I'm going to shoot and I have to keep it to an hour and a half instead of just being in the gym fiddling for like 2.5 hours. And so time management's been a big thing, and then I've been, just really lucky with how it has all worked out and how everyone's been able to come and help me achieve and get into the programs that I wanted to, and it's been really fun. I mean, all the classes haven't been easy, but at the moment now I'm at the back end of it. It's all nearly finished, so no, it's been enjoyable.
Your sister Darcy, we loved watching her play at the University of Washington. Did she kind of, and again, her academic accolades go on and on as well. Yeah. Did Darcy kind of set the table for you in terms of playing overseas, collegiately in the United States, and also that you could get a great degree as well? Did she kind of set the table?
Yeah, definitely. It was always weird because growing up, I was always the one that wanted to come to college. She wasn't really sure about the pathway. And at the last minute, she got that offer from UW to go play out there. And just watching her first 2 years and how well she did and the support of the teams. And obviously, as you said, she's super smart and did a lot of things, not only within basketball and academics, but just within University of Washington in general. And I think it was a lot of things to, get up to and a high standard to hold. But, I tried to do it in my own way. Definitely did not do all the things she did, but no, she's been great. And just watching her this year overseas, especially, it's her second year playing pro. And no, she started this season so well and has been going really well. So that's really cool to see. I think it helps me feel comfortable in knowing, the next pathway.
Kelsey, I don't know if we mentioned it, but you're from Australia. You lived in a lot of different places in your country. And one time you lived right across from a beach. Your mom and dad played professional basketball. I always believe every team is better if they have an Aussie on it because it just brings a lighthearted edge that everybody needs to be around. What's it like growing up in Australia playing basketball?
Yeah, it was great. I was really lucky. As you said, we did move around a couple of times. So I got to see some different places and I've loved summer. I love the beach, love to, be near the ocean. And then basketball wise, it was weird growing up. My parents really didn't want to force any of us into the basketball side of things. They both played professionally, as you said, had long careers, decorated careers. And I think they really wanted us to forge our own path. But in the end, all of us played basketball. So it was great, and just having I have 3 siblings, so having them in the backyard and being able to play against them helped a lot. Made me very competitive, and yeah, it's definitely what helped me get over here and achieve what I have. So, no, I'm really grateful for them.
Now, legend has it that your dad and your brother came on some wild and crazy road trip this year. Is that true?
Yeah, so my little brother and little sister, my little sister's over in Maine at a community college out there.
That's
So
right.
we flew over for Christmas, and then my brother and dad flew over from Australia for Christmas. So they visited Corvallis for Christmas, and then road tripped up to Spokane for the Gonzaga game, and then came back down to Portland, and then watched LMU. So no, that was really cool, and I'm really excited. My dad and mum are actually coming out for senior night next weekend, so that'll be great.
Oh, that is going to be very, very special. Can't wait to meet them and
Big
congratulate
game,
them personally.
big game coming up Thursday night.
Yeah, how about
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Uh-huh.
gotta get that one first. No, We're all really excited about that one. I think we proved to ourselves with that first game against Gonzaga a lot of things, and I feel like we've grown and learned a lot since then. So the chance to play them again, obviously they're going really well at the moment. So the chance to play them again on our home floor and hopefully show our fans and everyone how much we've improved. And it should be a good game, and hopefully we can get the edge and come out on top.
That picture behind you with all those fans at Gill Coliseum, yeah, it'll be rocking and rolling on Thursday. Mary and I will be there as well. And Kelsey Rees, go study or, go save the world or go do something with AI or whatever you bioengineering people do. Thank you so much for taking the time. You are delightful, and we'll see you very soon. Good luck to you and Oregon State.
Thank you guys so much. See you Thursday, and go for Beavs.
Cheers. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Back in just a moment. This episode is brought to you by Jersey Mike's. Greg Lee, we are so excited to have you with us. What a writer you have been for a long period for the Spokesman Review, shining a light in such a wonderful way on the women's basketball programs at Gonzaga and Washington State. All right, take us back last weekend, if you will, to the kennel, Washington State, Gonzaga, knocking heads, affiliate member for WSU in the WCC. It can't get any crazier. Help us understand the environment and what that game was like.
Well, it was Gonzaga's first sellout of the year. 6,000 were there. As I said in my story, for 3 quarters, it was literally a fight. There was very little finesse in that game. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter starts, and the teams combined to make the first 9 shots, and boom, we have a ball game. And it was entertaining through the end of regulation and into overtime. Just a wonderful atmosphere, but a great game. I was talking to Lisa afterwards, Lisa Fortier, and I said, that really had a postseason tournament feel to it. And it did. The referees let the players play, and it was very physical.
Greg, you've watched this team all year long, Gonzaga. They start 1-2 in the WCC, and all of a sudden, like, the concern flags are flying for everybody. What changed for that team to get them on track to put the run together that they have?
Well, a couple of things, really. Just before they started this 11-game winning streak, they lost a game they should have won against Oregon State. They were ahead 61-49 with 3 minutes to go. They go scoreless the rest of the way. Oregon State, to its credit, rallies and sends it to overtime, and Gonzaga loses. And really within that game was, I think, it was a microcosm of their troubles all year. They've had difficulties with turnovers. They've averaged 18 turnovers a game. They've been in the 20s a few times. In fact, the first game in Portland, they had 23 turnovers. But Portland causes teams to turn the ball over. They trap you, and teams are going to commit turnovers, but they're making better decisions. I mean, Yvonne Ejim, as you know, could carry this team, but they really needed some other players. When you look back to last year, they had 5 starters, actually 6 players that were capable of scoring double figures any night.
And we just have to ask quickly about Yvonne Ejim. You've seen a lot of great players at Gonzaga. What's your overall? I know you did a beautiful feature on her. What's your overall take on her?
I don't know if I've met many players that have as much grace and humility as Yvonne Ejim. She really defers and deflects a lot. She doesn't like the attention on her. She's very team conscious. But I'll tell you what, you've got one women's basketball jersey hanging in the rafters at McCarthy Athletic Center, and that's Courtney Vandersloot. But someday down the road, we're going to have number 15 in the rafters too.
That's a good call.
Is she the best ever at Gonzaga, in your opinion, Greg? Is she the best?
Well, you could say the records speak for themselves, and I think it's tough to compare a point guard with a post or a forward, but I think that by and large she's the best player. She's done it, really in 3 years. I mean, she's been a 5-year player thing because of COVID, but she only scored 93 points as a freshman, played in 25 games, didn't start her first game until the WCC tournament her sophomore year. And from that point on, obviously, it's history. But yeah, I would say that she's the best player in Gonzaga history. And that's saying a lot because Courtney Vandersloot is going to be playing in the WNBA again next year.
Okay, let's talk about Washington State and what Cammie Etheridge has established in Pullman. Pretty special stuff.
She's a fantastic coach. WSU's problem in the Cougars' losses this year, you can really point to one statistic, and it's rebounding. Saturday against Gonzaga, they're out rebounded 54-32, and they're outscored on second chance points 21-2. That's the difference right there. And Cammie has really challenged her players to step up and start rebounding. In fact, she went so far as in the postgame comments to say, whoever will step up and play hard in practice and rebound, they're going to play. And this WSU team is good. I mean, they're in third place and they're knocking on the door for one of those top 2 spots.
All right, Greg, thank you very much. And our challenge to you, should you choose to accept it, is to continue to write your great stuff about these programs and all of women's basketball and athletics. We so appreciate your advocacy for these teams and the players. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, what games are must-see this weekend?
Well, I think obviously Gonzaga travels to Corvallis to play Oregon State. Again, Oregon State won that game. So right now they're 1-0 on that one. It was way back in December on the 28th. It was an overtime win up in Spokane, 71-67. This game is going to have everything. It's going to be dynamic. We're both going to be on that game, excited to do it. The second game that's really intriguing to me on Thursday is LMU at Washington State. Obviously, Washington State looking for a bounce back, but LMU beat Washington State by 3 on January 23rd. So this is a big game for Washington State. And for LMU, from a confidence standpoint, looking if you can go up to Pullman and win a second game against Washington State, I think it does so much for them as well. And then when you move to Saturday, Pacific against at San Francisco, Pacific won that first meeting by 12. Again, we don't know exactly where people are hitting in the standings, but Pacific and San Francisco could be vying for that same spot. So the tiebreaker in this one is huge. And so San Francisco is really a big, big, big game for them. And then a game at Washington State at Portland on Saturday, as you know, will be just absolutely massive. Portland won the first one, and it was a resounding victory, 83-65. So again, the tiebreaker at stake there, which really could determine, whether you're third, fourth, second, who knows. So just 4 games that really can impact things. And we could talk about so many games, but those are the 4 that really jump out at me.
The scoreboard watching is really in effect right now. And if any coach or player says, no, we just worry about ourselves, baloney. Everybody's checking out those scores because, of the fact that the seedings are right there for the taking. And I'm going to go back to our game, Gonzaga at Oregon State. In game 1 at the Kennel, the atmosphere, as you know, was off the charts, off the hook. It's going to be that electric at Gill on Thursday. Do you imagine that to be so?
Yeah, at the Kennel, they had 5,600 plus, and I would imagine they'll have over 5,000, probably the biggest crowd of the year. So this is just going to be one of those games you want to get there early if you're planning on coming to Corvallis for that ball game, because it is going to be a lot of fun.
It's always a pleasure. The professor, the incomparable Mary Murphy. Thanks to you and for all your hard work, and thanks to everybody for joining us. Another episode of Points in the Paint. That's number 8 for all of you keeping score in the books. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.